Disclaimer: this video is a work of fiction created for entertainment purpose only. The storylines, events, and dialogues are purely imaginary and do not reflect real life personalities. No disrespect is intended toward any individual or artist featured or referenced. All images and media used belong to their respective rightful owner. I do not claim ownership of any external content used in this video. Voiceover and storylines are originally created by me. Soft rain tapped against the large glass windows while the city lights of Seoul glowed outside the apartment. The entire living room smelled faintly like coffee and Jungkook's expensive cologne. Ryan was sitting cross-legged on the couch wearing one of Jungkook's oversized black hoodies while scrolling through her phone peacefully until Jungkook walked in. Jungkook had just finished showering, damp black hair falling over his forehead, sleeves pushed up casually while drying his hands with a towel. The second his eyes landed on Ryan, he stopped walking. Yeah. Ryan looked up innocently. Hmm? Jungkook narrowed his eyes slightly before walking closer, very slowly. Why are you sitting like that? Ryan blinked. Sitting like what? Jungkook dropped on the couch beside her, one arm immediately wrapping around her waist possessively before pulling her into his lap without warning. Ryan squealed softly. Jungkook. Jungkook ignored her completely. His eyes stayed fixed on the way the oversized hoodie slipped slightly off her shoulder. You did this on purpose. Ryan tried to hide her smile. Do what? Jungkook tilted his head. That dangerous teasing look appeared in his eyes instantly. Wearing my clothes without anything underneath. Ryan's cheeks heated immediately. I'm wearing shorts. Jungkook smirked. That's not what I meant. His large hand slowly slid around her waist, fingertips brushing slightly against her sides just to make her shiver, and he noticed. Of course, he noticed. Jungkook loved noticing every little reaction from her. Sensitive already. Vine pushed his shoulder softly. Stop teasing me. Jungkook leaned closer, instead closer. Until Vine could feel his warm breath against her neck. But teasing you is my favorite hobby lately. His hand moved upward, slightly over the hoodie before stopping teasingly. Not touching, just hovering enough to make Vine nervous. Jungkook watched her expression carefully with a satisfied grin. Look at you, getting shy. Vine immediately hid her face against his chest. You're annoying. Jungkook chuckled deeply. That chest rumbling laugh always made her weak. Jungkook gently grabbed her chin, forcing her to look up at him again. And yet you like it when I get clingy. Vine opened her mouth to argue, but Jungkook suddenly stood up with her still in his arms. Vine gasped. Jungkook, put me down. Instead, he carried her straight toward the hallway wall near the kitchen, and before she could react, he pinned her gently against it, one hand beside her head, the other tightly around her waist. Vine's breathing instantly became uneven. Jungkook stared at her for a second silently, like he was obsessed with memorizing every expression she made. You seriously have no idea what you do to me, huh? Vine swallowed nervously, his gaze slowly dropped downward again, that familiar possessive look returning. Jungkook. Jungkook leaned down, brushing his lips teasingly against her jaw instead of kissing her properly. Vine instantly whined quietly, and that sound completely ruined his self-control. Jungkook smiled against her skin. Cute. The next second, his lips finally crushed against her. Slow, deep, addictive. His hand tightened around her waist while Vine instinctively grabbed his t-shirt tightly. Jungkook kissed her like he enjoyed making her breathless. Messy little kisses between soft bites and teasing pauses that made Vine impatient. And when his lips trailed lower toward her neck, Vine already knew she was doomed. Jungkook, don't leave marks this time. Jungkook immediately smirked against her skin. No promises. A second later, one soft gasp echoed through the apartment as Jungkook kissed the sensitive spot below her ear slowly, intentionally leaving tiny red marks behind just because he loved seeing them on her skin. And honestly, he loved hearing her complain about them afterward even more. The bedroom was dimly lighted by the warm yellow lamp near the bed. Rain still poured softly outside the windows while the city lights flickered across the room. Vine was sitting near the edge of the bed, fixing her hair nervously after changing into one of Jungkook's loose black t-shirts. Unfortunately for her, that only made Jungkook stare more. He was leaning against the bedroom door silently, watching her, completely obsessed. Jungkook slowly walked toward the bed before stopping right in front of her. His eyes dragged over her body shamelessly. You really like driving me insane today. Vine looked away shyly. You're the one acting crazy. Jungkook laughed softly under his breath before suddenly grabbing her ankle gently and pulling her closer across the mattress. Vine gasped. Jungkook leapt onto the bed, immediately caging her beneath him, one hand beside her head, the other resting firmly on her thigh. Vine's breathing instantly became uneven again. Jungkook noticed every little reaction always, and he loved it. Jungkook leaned down slowly, lips brushing teasingly against hers without fully kissing her. Vine whined quietly. Jungkook smirked. Impatient? Jungkook. That needy tone in her voice completely destroyed the tiny amount of self control he still had left. His lips crashed against her again, harder this time. Deep kisses, slow kisses, messy kisses that left Vine breathless beneath him. His hand slid from her thigh to her waist, pulling her body flush against his. Every inch of him pressed close enough to make her heart lose control. Jungkook's kisses slowly traveled from her lips to her jaw, then lower. Vine instantly gripped his shoulder tightly when his lips reached her neck again. Jungkook loved how sensitive she became for him, so pretty. His voice came out low against her skin before he sucked another soft mark onto her neck. Vine shivered underneath him. Jungkook lifted his head slightly just to look at the marks he left behind with obvious satisfaction, like they belonged to him. Vine tried to hide her burning face, but Jungkook immediately grabbed her wrist gently and pinned them above her head against the pillow. Don't hide from me. The way he stared at her made her entire body feel warm. Wanted his five fingers slowly brushed under the hem of her oversized shirt teasingly, making Vine suck in a sharp breath. And then he kissed her again, slower this time, more intimate, the kind of kiss that made the entire room feel hot and dizzy. His hand tightened softly around her waist while Vine's fingers tangled into his hair desperately. The rain outside became background noise. The city lights were blurred. The room had gone completely quiet except for the rain outside and the sound of uneven breathing between them. Jungkook was still hovering above Vine on the bed, black hair messy now, lips swollen from kissing her for too long, and somehow he still looked completely addicted to her. His hand slowly slid beneath the oversized t-shirt she was wearing, fingertips tracing softly across her waist. Vine instantly shivered underneath him. Jungkook noticed immediately. Every time I touch you, you react like this. He looked almost amused by it, almost proud. Vine tried to push him away lightly out of embarrassment, but Jungkook grabbed her wrist gently and pinned it back into the mattress beside her head. Not rough, just enough to remind her how easily he could overpower her. Don't start acting shy now. His voice dropped lower as he leaned down again, kissing along her jaw slowly, patiently, like he wanted to memorize every sound she made. Vine's fingers tangled into the front of his shirt desperately when his lips reached the sensitive spot below her ear again. Jungkook smirked against her skin. You like when I kiss your hair, huh? Jungkook, that tiny, breathless voice almost ruined him. He pulled back just enough to stare at her properly. Completely flushed cheeks, messy hair spread across the pillow, neck covered in faint marks he left earlier. Jungkook looked obsessed, actually obsessed. His fingers hooked under the hem of the oversized shirt, slowly before lifting in upward teasingly. Wine's heartbeat instantly sped up. Jungkook kept his eyes on her face the entire time, watching every nervous reaction, every sigh expression. Still wanna pretend you don't drive me crazy. Wine couldn't even answer properly anymore. That were only made Jungkook laugh softly. He tossed the shirt somewhere across the room carelessly before leaning down to kiss her again immediately after, this time slower, hotter. His hand slid down her thigh while Vian's hand moved to his shoulders before slowly tugging at his black t-shirt impatiently. Jungkook pulled away slightly just to help remove it himself. The second the t-shirt hit the floor, Vian's eyes dropped to his tattoo arm and defined chest automatically. Jungkook noticed that too, of course he did. But Vian immediately looked away. Jungkook grinned before grabbing her chin gently. Cute. Then he kissed her again before she could complain, deep enough to leave her dizzy. His body pressed closer against hers while his hand rested possessively on her waist, thumb rubbing softly against her skin. Everything about that moment felt heated, slow, dangerously intimated. Jungkook kept stealing little breathless kisses between teasing whispers against her lips, while Ryan could barely think anymore. And when he suddenly flipped them over, making Ryan end up on top of him, she looked completely shocked. Jungkook laughed quietly at her expression before resting his hands on her ribs. Why are you looking at me like that? You're impossible. Hmm, but you still like me. Before she could answer, he pulled her down into another kiss, longer this time. That kind that left both of them breathless beneath the dim Seoul lights glowing through the bedroom's window.